G'day and welcome to another edition of Hef's Beer Reviews. Today I'm reviewing this beer here. It's very new on the Australian market. It's the VB Low Carb Edition. Comes in this 375ml stubby. 4.9% is the ABV, as you can see there, so 1.4 standard drinks. The biggest question I've got about this beer here, well, after the obvious one, which is why, the second biggest question is how does it compare to the original VB? 4.9% ABV as well, so also 1.4 standard drinks. Will this satisfy a VB drinker who's looking for a low carb option? Well, we're going to find out in a few minutes' time. What I'm going to do is off camera, I'm going to get Mrs. Hef in, and she's going to pour for me. I've got two identical schooners here. She'll do a pour. Won't tell me which one's which. I'll get her to write it down somewhere where I won't look at it. You just have to take my word for it. And we'll have a look at the appearance, the aroma, and of course the taste, and see if there's any difference. See if I can tell the difference in a blind taste test. Now, I think look, I'm not a VB drinker. I've had a few in my time, but certainly it's not my choice of macro lager. So I haven't had one in a while. But knowing how a low carb beer is more than likely brewed and what the end result should be like, I think there should be a difference. So let's see, can I tell the difference? And then once we've decided if I can or if I can't, how substantial, and it's going to be reasonably objective of course, but how substantial is that difference in a side-by-side tasting? What if you were just given this without the side-by-side comparison? You know, is it close to the real thing that it would, as I said, keep a VB drinker happy? Let's find out. We'll come back in a moment with the test. Okay, we are back. As you can see, I've got two beers in front of me. One is VB, one is VB Low Carb. Let's see how we go. In terms of colour, gee whiz, very, very similar. This one here is more carbonated. Unless you pour it yourself, it's probably not fair to make a judgment on terms of the head. But look, for what it's worth, this one's got slightly more than this one. Definitely more carbonation though. Yeah, I can't tell the difference in terms of colour. Let's see how we go with aroma. Very similar. Although this one here, it's slightly muted. I'm not getting quite as much. Let me turn off the aircon. I mean, if you're an Australian, you know what VB smells like. You don't need me to tell you that. Yeah, there is a difference. There is a slight difference in the aroma. All right, let's go for the taste. Cheers. Yep. Oh, I can taste the extra carbonation. Should have cleansed the palate. I reckon this one is the low carb. More carbonation. There's less in terms of flavour. I mean, the flavour's very similar. It's difficult to say, and there's probably not, a real difference in terms of ingredients, apart from what they've probably done to brew a low-carb beer, and it's usually going to be a dry beer as well. You're going to add an enzyme. You're going to add an enzyme to the wort, which is going to convert some of those starches from the mash so that they can be fermented by the yeast. Without the enzyme, not all the sugars are going to be, it's not all going to be fermented by the yeast. So there'll be a little bit of residual sugars left behind, those ones that can't be fermented. If you convert those, then obviously they can be fermented. It's going to finish lower in terms of gravity. It's going to finish drier, so less residual sugars left, less carbs. Yeah, I definitely reckon it's that one. It's a similar taste profile, don't get me wrong. It's a reasonably subtle difference. So look, you can't see, but the beers are sitting on two different coasters here. Identical Headmaster schooner glasses, different coasters. Mrs. Hef came in, did the pour, wrote down which one's which. So this one here is the Eastern Suburbs of Roosters coaster, and the one on this side is a Qantas coaster. So let's see which one's which. You can see now, I can see as well. Picked it. This one is the low carb version. Makes perfect sense to me. The carbonation level, I don't know if that was deliberate or not, but definitely more carbonated. The taste profile, it's still got that signature Pride of Ringwood wet cardboard taste, but it is a little bit drier to me. The combination of the high carbonation and less flavour, it's almost got a really slight soda watery taste to it, even at 4.9%, which is really interesting. If you are a hardcore VB drinker and you go and buy one of these, or 6 of them, slug it out of the bottle, are you going to notice the difference? You know what? I think you might. I think that the difference is substantial enough for a VB drinker in a non-side-by-side to go, you know what, that is a little bit different. It's not quite the same. Is it going to be enough to turn you off? Well, that's going to be up to your individual preferences, unfortunately. I can't tell whether you would or whether you wouldn't. Price point, look, I bought singles. I don't want to drink 6 VBs, and I don't want to drink 6 VB low carbs either after tasting it, to be honest. The low carb was $4.99 and the regular was $5.49. So the regular is 50 cents more expensive for a single stubby. That's from Dan Murphy's. So that about wraps it up. Can tell the difference. I think it's substantial enough that a VB drinker would be able to tell the difference. Whether or not you want to drink this as your option. If you're into low carb beers, at 4.9%, if you still want a decent ABV, then yeah, I guess they don't really appeal to me, to be honest. A score out of 5 for VB low carb. Oh, it's been so long. been so long since I've had a low carb beer, to be honest. It's hard for me to judge it against the other ones. So keep that in mind with the rating. I don't think it's a fantastic beer by any stretch of the imagination. It's a macro, Australian macro adjunct lager. It's dry. It's got less carbs. It's a 3 out of 5. It's okay. I'm not going to buy it again. But I would encourage you, if you've tried it, please let me know what you think. How does it compare to the regular VB? I'm really interested to find out. That'll do us. Apologies for it being a long one. Thanks for watching. Catch you next time on Hef's Beer Reviews.